Welcome to the Temporary Insanity Podcast. Here are your hosts, Joshua Lewis Pereira, William McCoy, and C.L. Tansey.
All right, happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Temporary Insanity Podcast. I'm your host, Joshua Lewis Pereira, and with me in studio today is our main lady, Miss Sierra Rose Tansey. I was going to skip the Rose, but I was like, I can't do it. Now it's like our thing. We have to do the middle name for Sierra. Miss Sierra, how are you today?
Good. How are you? I'm sick.
I know. We missed you last week when we had all of our invasion of the teenagers, but
I was college lifing.
you were killing it. And this week, finally, we were just talking about how Mr. Aiden has lost his place as the youngest co-host in our show. We have Mr. Ethan, also known as Mr. Baby, here on the broadcast. You might hear him in the background here or there. He's probably gonna be a man of few words.
Can you say hi?
Can you say hi, Mr. Ethan? Hi, Mr. Baby. That's all you're going to get. He's like, eh. For those of you watching behind the scenes, you can see Mr. Ethan at the table. He'll be in and out of the table. He'll be running around, but it's cool.
This means I might also be in and out of the table.
But he is with us in studio today. He disagrees. He's like, don't tell me what to do. So, Sierra, last week you were writing a bananas paper.
Yeah.
On Marxism?
Marxism and strain theory.
Strain theory. And but as we were talking earlier, you told us that you killed it.
I did. I got a 100 on it.
100. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. She didn't just be like, B, 95. She just straight up 1 and 2 zeros. 100.
Skipping the podcast paid off.
Even Ethan's like, yeah, Mom, way to show me up. What's up, man?
Ethan's tired.
Over there?
It's because you moved his trash can.
I know. I'm sorry, man. My bad. My apologies.
Oh, your car.
We had a big adventure today, Mr. Ethan and I. We had this little controversy going. We were trying to see if he'd call me Titi before he called his Mimi. I think he calls your mom Mimi.
Not to her face.
What do you want from Titi? You want Titi to give you? So now he's calling me Titi to my face. So we have it recorded. There you go. This just wasn't to a standard.
It'll be a long episode.
I think it'll be fine. It's we've had other co-hosts that wanted like green M&Ms, so like he just wants his chairs a certain way.
He wanted blue M&Ms.
Oh, that's true. Is that the way you want it, bro? Well, so we're glad to have you back. Last week the kids did miss you. Sierra told us last week that if the kids did their job the right way, I wouldn't need an interpreter, and we made our way through. So we did okay. We got a pretty good episode, and it looks like the kids are anxious to try to come back. So next, Will was kind of looking at me last week, and he told me that he's like, "What did we get ourselves into?" But by the end of the program, Will was like, "Hey, this wasn't too bad." So but then he said, "No, Sierra has to sit in on the next one," and
he gets to sit out.
I don't know if he's going to call out on the next one. For those of you who are recognizing, Mr. William McCoy he's taking this week off. He's like, you know what? I put in my time. He's previously engaged with some other stuff today. So Will is not going to be with us on today's broadcast. Hence why we have Mr. Ethan. Mr. Ethan's here in Will's place. Hopefully we'll get some smooth voice. We got to start him young. So Sarah, today we're going to be talking about chaos. And for those of you who clearly know by now, we're from a little place called East Providence, and we're going to be talking about chaos in a micro, I guess, and then a macro.
East Providence went through like the apocalypse yesterday.
We were like the purge yesterday here in East Providence. I mean, East Providence was like, literally hell broke loose here. Like we I mean, we lost power throughout like the whole city. We, we had like lockdowns in the schools. We had all kinds of stuff going on. So we'll talk about some local chaos, and then maybe talk about it on a grand scheme. We even have a little chaos going on in the program with Ethan deciding if he wants the crayons on the table or off the table. Yeah, that's it, man. You can do it however you like. So where do you want to start?
Let's start with the power outages. That was like the beginning of yesterday. Like,
I didn't even know it was happening. So I wasn't around when that was going down. So I was at work, and I get this I get this, my phone's going off, and like, I have a Ring alarm system, and so I hear from the Ring system like, ding, Ring alarm notification. Your Ring alarm system is on cellular backup. Bing, Ring alarm system. Your alarm system's on this. Ding. And then I get Nancy like blowing up my phone, and I'm like, what's going on? And all of a sudden, like, I have Haley blowing up my phone, and she's like, Dad, we're on lockdown. And then like nothing from Aiden, because my son's in elementary school still, so they're not allowed to touch their phones. But then the whole world is coming to. So then finally, I'm able to stop and pull over to see what's happening, and I'm being told like, the schools are in like shelter in place, like the phones are all down. It's like, the end of the world as we know it.
so I was like, Ethan was taking a nap, and usually when Ethan takes a nap, that's when I get my naps in. So I was just laying in my bed, and then my lights were off, so I obviously didn't think anything of it. But then all the lights, so in my room, when the lights turn off and then come back on, when they come back on, all the lights come on, even if they're off. So then my lights just come back on, and
Are they smart lights?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why. Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, that's weird. I didn't even know we lost power. And then my whole house goes out again. So mine went off, came back on for like 30 seconds, and then I lose them again. And then I hear Joey freaking out because our Wi-Fi is obviously out, and Joey works from home. So he was like freaking out. He was like, the Wi-Fi's out. And I was like, no, Joey, the whole house is out. Like, it's not just the Wi-Fi. So he like really quickly takes a shower and then goes to his office, goes to the office so he can actually work. And I'm like, okay, that's weird. We'll randomly lose power in my house all the time just because I think our breaker is old or something. I don't know. We'll lose power a lot. So I was like, okay, not that big a deal. And then I go on Facebook with the little internet connection I have left, and it's like, oh, whole city's out, and I'm like, what?
Well, so that's what I hear from. So finally, I stopped to see what's going on, and I hear that the entire city's out. The school, so the elementary school sends us something. They're like, listen, the kids are still learning. We still have, we still have instruction going on. But you can't call the school because the phones are out. But we have this thing called Dojo. It's like a mobile app that they use through the cell phone. So if you need to reach the school, reach us through that. So like Aiden's day was kind of like whatever. Aiden comes home freaked out. So my son, and I'm really not trying to blow up his spot because he comes across like on the thing like super cool, like welcome to the Temporary Insanity Podcast, and he comes across like this little brave kid, but like. My son's terrified of like thunderstorms and stuff like that. So like he came home yesterday. He was trying to put on like a brave face for us, but he was freaked out. He's like, "Oh, the power's out," and like to him there was like the apocalypse.
It's terrifying.
So, but he had like a somewhat normal day. So he comes home from his somewhat normal day of instruction. My daughter, on the other hand, this happened to her while she was in chorus, which in the middle school is an interior room that has no windows, made of cinder block. They had to shelter in place because now the middle school is much larger than the smaller elementary school.
I feel like it's wild that they put a shelter in place because the power went out.
Well, I mean, I can understand it though because there's no power, there's no lights throughout the building except for some of the emergency lights, and there's only the exterior rooms have windows. So I mean, it is a safety concern because think about it.
Especially for that school. I'm not going to name names of schools here because ew.
But it's huge.
It's huge, but there's also no walls.
Right, and without having the ability to monitor, so now the power's out. So clearly, probably the cameras are out and stuff like that. So like, kids can get hurt, which we're going to talk about when we get to the high school.
I shouldn't be laughing.
And so they have to put a shelter in place so people could be safe. So she's in this interior. Now my daughter has like super anxiety and stuff like that. And she's in this room, cylinder block room on the inside, like a prison, and they had to miss lunch because, like, I guess this kid that needed the elevator to get down couldn't take the elevator because the elevator was stuck, and so there was like this whole reasoning behind that. And she's like, so she's freaking out. So that happened, and then we get to East Providence High School.
Okay, so the lights come back on, right? So the power went out. Oh, we didn't even mention the cause of the power to go out was a rodent.
Well, I have the article for that. I figure we can talk about what happened at the high school first, and we can go because we will have articles on our podcast page so that y'all can read about the craziness that has happened here. So the East Providence High School. Why don't you go into the story there?
So the power went out around like 10:30, and it came back on around like 12:45. Almost immediately after the power gets on, we get notifications from the city of East Providence saying that someone at the local high school got stabbed by another student. Not even like an hour after the lights came on, and we're getting these notifications from the school, from the mayor, from the like news stations. Oh yeah, a 16-year-old got stabbed in a bathroom. Straight shanked like 4 times in a bathroom over. Well, it's like they can't tell us what it was over yet, but like everyone in the school is like, oh yeah, they were arguing over a vape. I know.
He's appalled, Mr. Baby. You're right. And here's now I'm getting my news from a 13-year-old. So clearly the news is spreading like wildfire through the kids, okay? Because I'm getting my news from my daughter, who's at the middle school, not even at the high school. My daughter's at the middle school, and my news is coming from Haley, who's telling us that this kid got shanked over. Now, ready for this? A bagel. So I'm like, wait a second. Power went out. Now let me play this out for you how it's going on in my brain, and we're gonna get to why they really got stabbed. But let me give you how this is really happening in my brain here. Power went out, and in my ADH special brain, because my mom always told me I was special. Like I'm picturing like the Hunger Games, like in my head. So like
because they didn't get lunch,
right? So in my mind. The power in because I'm not in East Providence at this point. I'm like in a different part of the state. So in my mind, East Providence is slowly devolving like into this utopian state, like in the Hunger Games where they have to fight for rations, because there's nothing here. There's no food, no water, and so the high school has devolved into this Hunger Games type of environment.
So now, like, the high school wasn't only on lockdown because of the power going out. They were on just straight code red at that point.
Right.
Because there was someone in the school with a knife just actively stabbed someone in the bathroom.
Because, and in my mind, I'm thinking, so Haley's telling me this kid gets stabbed over a bagel. So in my mind, instantly I go into this movie land where I'm picturing the high school where all these kids are fending for themselves because there was no power. So apparently there was no food. And so I see like this group of kids like in the Hunger Games where there's this one bagel sitting in the middle of the high school. And all the kids have to run from their classrooms because they had no lunch and they were starving. And they had to fight for that singular bagel, just like in that opening scene of the Hunger Games when they start from their pods and like there's like all the rations of supplies in the middle. And remember like in the Hunger Games 1 where they're like, the first advice that the guy gives to them is like, don't run to the stuff. Like run up the hill. Like you'll get your stuff later. And then there was like that bloodbath like in the Hunger Games where like they all run to the like everyone else like was like stupidly running towards her and like they're all just dying, right?
Yeah.
So Haley's telling me like, yeah, the kid got stabbed over a bagel. I'm like, how hungry was this kid? Where they skipped lunch, the power comes on, and he gets stabbed over a bagel. Like,
but then the story, like, I don't even know if I should say evolves or devolves into they were arguing over a vape.
Which to me still fit in line with the bagel because like was it one of those like flavored vape pens where the guy was so hungry that it was like, man, is that a grape vape pen? Like I am so hungry, like I could taste the grape right now. Like.
So then there's like 6 cop cruisers at the high school. There's like the fire department. This kid that got stabbed was in like critical condition, being taken to the hospital, and like, so that happens literally less than an hour after the lights come back on. So it's kind of funny because like I was talking like the paper I had to write, strain theory. One of the big things I actually focused on in my paper was like school violence.
I mean, for real. I mean, it's almost you wrote it and it came from your
I
paper,
know.
and then shortly, so we find out that this kid gets stabbed, and then of course it's a big to do. There was a big press conference. I'll find the press conference and put it in as a link.
Big press conference in quotations.
And I'm laughing, and I kind of laugh about it too because it's one of those things where like, so to us, this is East Providence, all right? So this is not like one of those, for us this is a big to do, and like some of you listening to our podcast, you're like, you guys are so silly because you guys are probably like from like these big places like Chicago or New York where this is like happening like every 5 minutes, but like but this is like us starting off our program about chaos because this is a place where this stuff doesn't happen frequently, and. So then there's this big press conference that takes place, and where we're talking about what happened, and so we start to find out why this took place and how it took place. But then, I wake up this morning, and I was doing my morning social media perusal as I was looking to see, just kind of seeing like what my friends had been posting about stuff that had happened yesterday, and we were kind of thinking about what we were going to talk about on the podcast today about chaos and all that stuff. And then actually, I was telling Sarah just before the podcast started being recorded that her Mimi, who was on last week, had posted a long post. Now, so yeah, Mimi does what's it called, the DoorDash. So where they deliver the food, and so I guess Carol was doing a DoorDash for McDonald's, which is right behind, literally like behind the high school. So McDonald's has always been one of those places where kids from the high school after school will kind of go and they'll get like, or when they're bunking school, will go there.
They like jump the fence. I don't know if the fence is still there.
I think in recent years they've reinforced it. But so I saw a long comment from Carol about the McDonald's where supposedly. Now, I don't have all the details. That's the only reason why I say supposedly, because Carol wouldn't have made this up. She was sitting there. She saw it firsthand. But I don't have all the details, so I can't really speak to like full on what happened. But from what I gathered on the brief reading that I did on it, because I couldn't find the post again, I'll have to look it up and kind of see more detail. But I guess after this whole purge happened, because that's the only way we could describe it is the purge here in East Providence. I guess the kids were like a bunch of the kids from the high school going to the McDonald's, and while she was there was a bunch of police officers and ambulances. I'm sorry, and fire trucks there because kids from the high school were at the McDonald's starting little fires, and I guess the police had to go there to take control of the place and put out the fires. I mean, I've never actually seen the movie The Purge because it's not really my genre, but like. East Providence was in a total and utter state of chaos. Like, I don't know. I might have to invest in like those steel shutters for the house so that like after the sun goes down, we have to like roll them down and like protect ourselves like they did in that movie The Purge. Like the siren has to go off and things will have to start. What a way to start the program. I mean, now. I think another reason why I wanted to kind of start off with this. Oh, and you were right. So Sierra made some comments today that made me start to chuckle because, so come to find out at the end of the day, the reason that almost the entire city lost power was because of what, Sierra?
A squirrel.
A squirrel went to the substation. There's an article by WPRI 12 News that says, animal caused East Providence power outage. And so a squirrel goes and chews on something, and I love the analogy. So Sierra was asking, she's like, so is it like the cartoons?
Like in the cartoons where like an animal gets electrocuted and then it like starts like shaking, you can see its bones, and it has like the electrical shock around it. Yeah, that's what I was imagining.
Well, you had me both laughing, and then you had me like you kind of had one of those reactions where I was like, oh, because then she's like. And then I thought to myself...
I was dwelling on it all day, and then my dad comes home, and I was like, Dad, is the squirrel dead?
I mean, that's how you know Sierra's like one of those love creatures. Mr. Baby has a thought. Go ahead, Mr. Baby. What do you got to say? He thought about it.
Nothing. Oh, okay.
Oh, so I think how fitting it was. So we had the kids on last week, CC, and one of the things that they had talked about before we go into more chaotic theory about what's going on in the world.
He said you can't have my mic. You're getting your bugs all over it.
I'm excited that look at the enthusiasm in his face though. He wants to be the next host of Temporary and I mean, I could see him and Aiden taking over this program. Look, they have the perfect generational gap. Like, you know, they will be the next you and William, because I don't think they'll be the next you and me, because I think they have enough of that age gap here.
We're 15. Him and Aiden are like 10.
So it's close. But
Dude.
But as the kid, he's fine.
I want him to drop that. Like, I don't know, is it glass?
You bringing it to TT? But I love how like it kind of ties in well. Like, I don't love it because I mean I'm not saying I'm happy about like the stuff that's taking place, but it's crazy how fitting it is. Like, so the kids last week were talking about like the stuff that they go through in high school and the stuff that they go through in middle school, and how like there was a part of the program last week where they were talking about how like some of the students are even scheduling fights and stuff like that. And
it was like that when I was in school. It'd be like in the bus line.
No,
1:45.
They were talking about like legit scheduling fights. Like all right, next week, the 23rd at 4 p.m. in front of 25 Main Street. Like it's crazy. And then they hype it up like it's like a boxing event, like for pay-per-view. But so last Friday we had these kids talking about it, and they're talking about like how it's becoming like crazy inside the school. And then here we are, not even a week later, and we're talking about a kid getting stabbed over the vape pen. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, it's amazing how we just talked about the chaos that's starting to ensue inside the school system. And here we are seeing exactly what these kids are talking about on their, you know, and they keep saying I get their name wrong. So I'm just going to call it the youth segment for now, because it's like, let's a real talk or something, real talk with the Gens Alpha or whatever. You know, so it's really crazy what's taking place out there. And then, you know, then of course, Sarah, you just melt my heart when you say stuff like that. Like, is the squirrel alive?
Was the squirrel alive?
And I bet you if it lived and it needed a foster home, you'd probably foster it, wouldn't you?
Oh, I mean, I hate squirrels. But
would you nurse it back to health?
I would nurse it back to health. Squirrels are growing on me. Speaking of squirrels, walk it off. Walk it off.
He felt bad for the squirrel too. I don't know if it was the fall or the thought of the squirrel.
He's good. When you picked me up earlier, my cat was like stalking squirrels.
Listen,
and
your
he
cat
was like following the poor squirrel up the tree.
Your cat was straight like savagely going after that squirrel. Like your cat was like looking, stalking, and then your cat was pouncing. Like Devil Cat. Now here's why we call him Devil Cat, because a loyal cat who loves their owner, all right, who's about like selflessly loving their owner, will hunt the squirrel, will hunt the rat, will hunt the mouse, whatever the spoils of what they hunt. They will bring it to you as a gift. Listen, Devil Cat doesn't bring you any gifts. Devil Cat just kills the animal and leaves it there to you know. So I'm just saying, there's no love there. There's
My cat hates me.
See, your cat's not feeling. You're not feeling the love there. You know, you're not feeling the love there.
Hi, want to say something?
It's like he's always about, like he wants to say, he comes ready to say something, and then he just doesn't. Like it's like so close. By the end of this program, we will get a word in by Mr. Baby. I promise you that. So, I mean, we experienced the purge from East Providence yesterday, and so that's more like the micro level. So we've gotten just like a little taste of that in our backyard. And I mean, granted, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it could have been far worse. But do we know if the kid died? Like the kid? I mean,
No, he's alive. He's in like critical condition. He was like in critical condition.
Was he stabbed with a knife?
They can't disclose this information at this time.
I mean, it's.
What else would he be stabbed with? The vape pen?
A pencil?
A pencil?
A protractor?
I don't know if he'd be in critical condition. Who has a protractor anymore?
Oh, compass? Remember those compass things we used to use?
Who has those anymore?
I don't know, like the mathletes?
Ethan, you don't want to talk, buddy. There's nothing I can do for you. You can sit on the chair.
Like the, I mean, we still have a Vogue school. I mean, there's sharp instruments there, like a chisel from the
Piece of metal from the engineering.
you know, like, well, I mean, we do have a culinary department, like, so maybe like.
You think he took a knife from the culinary department?
I mean.
He broke a plate and just shanked him with it. We shouldn't be making jokes.
I feel like we should have a lot more information in this. I mean. And then, you know, I do appreciate the sincerity from the mayor. He started off with, as a father of 2 high school students.
I get it, because they are minors. They do have to, like, I don't think they can actually, like, they legally can't put names out or anything. But, like, how do you not know what the kid is stabbed with? Obviously, he had a weapon on him when you detained him.
I think that when you leave it up to, like, the imagination, it's worse. I really do. I think when you leave it, like
someone literally asked in the conference, what was the weapon? And they literally just said, we don't know yet. How do you not know? Did you not have the weapon on him when you detained him?
What did you pull out of the guy's
What did you take from
body?
him?
Like, where was he stabbed? Like, in the stomach? Like,
I don't know. They can't disclose that information at this time.
what was the assault weapon? We don't know. Well, what did you extract from the victim's body?
We can't disclose that information. So you do know. You just can't tell us. All they gave us were ages and where it happened. Like, they were like juniors in high school, and it happened in a bathroom.
Thank you for this useless press conference. My daughter gave me more information.
I found more information from high school students that were in the school at the time than this.
It was more interesting when it was a bagel. Okay. I was like, was it an everything bagel? Poppy seed? Did it have lox? Cream cheese? Like, what kind of bagel was it? Like, that was, you know. What flavor vape pen was it? That's what I want to know. Let's get to the facts. On this podcast, we deal in facts. What flavor vape was it?
Was it like the cool ice one?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't vape, but
was it one of those fat vape pens that look like the big cartridges, or was it one of those slim, the skinny ones? Like, what do you want? Which chaos do you want to go into next, my friend?
I don't know. What else you got?
Let's see what else we got. We have, you know what?
This little pitter pattering.
I will tell you what. We had.
Thank you, buddy.
We had a fun day today. So today was TT Josh and Ethan day while we hung out with my girl Cece. So we started the day.
Bones cracked.
We started the day where Cece had to stop at the chiropractor. So she's like, well, if you want to hang with me and Ethan, I was like, cha. So picked them up, went to the chiropractor, and we had some. Well, it's technically not chaos, but we'll call it we'll call it organized fun chaos.
He's just collecting Ethan, all of the coasters.
Hey, let him do what he's doing. He's having fun. Like, he's having a blast. I'm having a kick watching him. But so we get there, and me and Ethan are set up inside my mobile workstation, which is called the mobile office / truck. And this kid was just cracking me up. I mean, he had me dying. And so we've been trying to get him to say TT Josh, right? And as I started saying at the beginning of the program, so now he starts to, and he has like this like devious smile because he knows what I'm trying to get him to say. He understands what I'm trying to get him to say, and he says it when he wants to. And then I flip the camera on to record him saying it so I could send it to Nancy, because Nancy was highly jealous that I had him hanging out with me. And so he had, at this point, ripped off his socks. And so the first thing Nancy says is, oh, baby piggies, because Nancy loves baby feet. And so...
At what point does it become weird?
You got a while. I mean, I think you got until. I think you got until he's like.
I'm gonna have to like reassemble her like pretty little centerpiece thing.
I like how he's wearing it like a necklace. And so, so then so as soon as I put the video on, I put it on, and he's looking at me, and he's like, "Ha, Mama, Dad." I'm like, "No, say Titi." And he's like, "Ha, Kitty."
Because Ethan is the only one that likes Devil Cat.
And I'm like, "Come on!" So I turned the phone away, and as soon as I turned the phone away and I hit stop, he goes, "Ha, TT," and I'm like, "Oh, you punk!" And I take the phone back to point towards him, and I'm like, "Say TT." He's like, "Ha, Mama." And are you laughing at me now? Yeah, you are. Look at him. He's it's that same smirk. It's that same smirk. And then he threw his bottle, and he's like, "Baba." So I had to get out the truck and get. Yeah, there we go. You hear him say the Baba again? So we had our own little organized chaos going on today. Then we went to the restaurant. We had a little bit more fun again. But it's funny though because in the world of our organized chaos, we see how a lot of these things we start on this micro level, like what we have going on with within our city. And then as we move on to things like we see, and we're not going to get too much into it today with like Israel, but like you see what's going on with Israel and we see what's going on in the world. And, what scares me is when I look at Ethan, when I look at like my kids, like I said, Aiden came home freaked out yesterday. Haley came home, kind of like stressed out, like, and they weren't even at the high school. I could imagine, like, I don't have a kid in the high school, but like you're in the high school and you see, as parents, we're like frustrated about how they're not releasing any of that information to us.
Oh, it's terrifying.
And like, but imagine being one of the kids in the high school, like, because you remember what it was like in the high school.
When
like,
I was in
someone
high
just
school,
got stabbed.
When I was in high school, so now I think they keep everyone in the high school, but when I was in high school, when something like that happened, we would evacuate into Providence Country Day. Into their like shed, all of us, literally every student. Ethan. But when I was in high school, they had the big thing that happened to us. I was a sophomore and there was a bomb threat.
We had a couple of those. We had a couple of those, but usually it was when we didn't want to like. So there were students that didn't want to take tests and stuff. And they'd be like,
so what happened with us? This kid got expelled from the school like the year before. He had called. He was like high out of his mind. He was like, "Oh, why put bombs in the school? This, and that." And obviously, like, no matter how much you believe that that's not the case, you still have to evacuate the students in case it is the case. So we all evacuated, and I remember just us sitting in that that shed. Everyone, we were all just kind of hanging out, walking around, chilling out together, and parents were pissed because they wouldn't tell anyone, and none of us we couldn't leave. So we were there all day in that shed. Parents were trying to come pick up their kids because, like, obviously we were all texting our parents what was happening. And they were like, "No, we can't let any of these kids leave just in case. Like, you guys can't be on the property. You need to leave." And parents were like, "No, I'm not leaving my kid while there's an active bomb threat going on. Like, what are you talking about?" We all had to, like, leave our backpacks in the school in case, like, any of the backpacks had the bombs in it and, like, bombing it. So they had us all, like, pick them up the next day. And I was like, if they... Did you look through every backpack that was left in that school? Like, what happens if there were bombs in our backpacks?
Well, it's one of those things where as we hear about these chaotic things, and like I said, as parents and as we see this stuff taking place, and like I said, you go through that, and it frightens you, and we live in a time where we're hearing. Look at this stuff with Israel. Look at this. Look at all this stuff that's taking place around the world. Matthew 24:6 says, and you will hear of wars and threats of wars, but don't panic. Yes, these things must take place, but the end won't follow immediately. As we keep talking about how there's going to come a day where the trumpet's going to sound and God's going to send His Son to call home the church and stuff like that. But, we hold on to the promise that God gives us through His Son, Jesus Christ. And there's all this chaotic stuff taking place. And these are things that are beyond our control because, unfortunately, it's coming to a time where, it's going to become more common for it to, for chaos to ensue, John 14:27 tells us that says, I'm leaving you with a gift, peace of mind and heart. And the peace I give is a gift the world cannot give. So don't be troubled or afraid. I mean, when Aiden came home and when Haley was texting us throughout the day, I told her, I says, look, everything's gonna be okay. I know that everything seems a little bit crazy, but you gotta hold on to what mommy and daddy keep talking. Just trust in God. Trust that God's got you taken care of. When I was looking at your son today in the back of my truck, it was one of those bittersweet feelings. I'm looking at Mr. Baby laughing, and I'm looking at his face, and I'm just like, wow, like he doesn't have a clue. I mean, think about it. Like, so yesterday you're at home. He was home with you, right? So you're seeing everything going on, and you're seeing that the power's out, and that and you're hearing the stories about like the high school, and and even like on a mass scale, like you've heard about what's going on with like Israel and all that stuff, and like in the world, all this crazy. But then you look at your son. Does he have a clue?
No. When the power went out, he was living his best life. He thought it was so fun.
And so, like, when I looked at him in the truck today, I'm like, the world around us sometimes feels like it's falling apart. And you look at a kid like him, and you're like, man, he has no clue that the whole world is nuts. And it's a bittersweet thing. It's like, it's scary, and you worry about about what his future's gonna hold, and you're like, what kind of world is he going to be living in? But at the same time, it's the type of thing where the only thing we could offer him is what we have to hold on to, which is the story of the story of salvation, the story of the God that loves us enough where He sent His Son. But it's like, this kid's also one of those things where you look at his face and he's kind of got a way of just melting all that away, doesn't he? What do you want? You want to say hi to everybody? You want this? He's too much.
I like how we whispered, Papa, to you as he walked away. That was funny.
Then we see stuff that you were saying. We also see the chaos that's even sneaking its way into the Disney 100, right? You were starting to talk about?
Oh, yeah. So there's this thing with the Disney 100 where they put out this trailer for a new movie. I can't remember what it's called. And people have been asking Disney to make, like, a movie with a different kind of character. They didn't want to see the damsel in distress, but they didn't want the same storyline as, like, Frozen and Moana and, like, Encanto. So they wanted a woman character of some sort of minority or a different ethnicity who was independent and didn't have a man, but also wasn't along the lines of Frozen, Encanto, and Moana.
What?
Yeah, right? So they put out this new movie, exactly what these people wanted. It was she was a woman. She's not white. I think she might be Latina. I don't know. She doesn't seem to have a male love interest or a woman love interest. I don't think she has any love interest. But she has kind of the same storyline as Moana, Frozen, and Encanto, and everyone's upset about it. But also Disney 100, like, they're upset by the 100 film. I thought the 100-year film they put out was really cute. But everyone was mad about that because it's not what they wanted to see, and like the animation wasn't what they wanted. And I'm like, geez, Disney can't catch a break.
I don't know. Listen, I'll tell you what. I mean, I was just in California. What was it, 2 weeks ago? And I was there on business. But I mean, while I was there, so my parents never took me to Disney. So while I was there, I had a day that I had to kill. Me and Nancy wanted to try to get mix a little bit of vacation in with it, and so Nancy was like, you know what? Why don't we spend the day at Disneyland so you can actually experience Disney and Nancy's never been to Disneyland, so she was like, the nice thing. So I asked her, I said, what's the big difference between Disneyland and Disney World? She's like, well, the nice thing about Disneyland is you're in California, so like never rains. And she's like, in Disney World, you always catch a little bit of rain. So we went to Disneyland, and yes, I was a big kid. Now let me get this straightened out for everybody right now, because I know I'm gonna catch flack from everybody. Because look, I do not agree with many of the Disney positions. Let's not make this a political thing about Disney. I am very happy that independent films have been killing some of the Disney films, because I don't stand with Disney on a bunch of that stuff. However, from the perspective of wanting to be a big kid for a little while, yes, I went to Disneyland. I got the Disney ears that said my first time at Disney. I was a 36-year-old on the Dumbo ride with a bunch of little kids. I went on the teacups. I went on the It's a Small World ride. I did all the things that the 8-year-old Josh would have loved to do that his parents never took him to do, okay? I'm just saying, let's separate the politics. I went to the theme park. I had fun. I'm not trying to tell you that I agree with all the mysticism and all the let's not put the religious spin on it. Let's not put a political spin on it. I didn't go for any of that stuff. I went to go experience the theme park so I could see what the hype was all about. And I had a blast. I was like a big kid. You have pictures of me and Disney. All right, so that's that. Did I say that plain and clear? Sierra, do you think that? Yeah. All right. Let's not turn it into a Republican versus Democrat thing or a Christian versus non-Christian thing. I went to a park, all right?
Sweet orange and lemongrass essential oils.
Nice.
So I have a collection of stuff going on.
So we went to Disney theme park. I was in California. We did. So I mean, it was a fun. I'm not gonna lie, I had a fun time. But while I was there, I saw that they were really pushing this Disney 100 thing to the point where everything that had the Disney 100 stamp on it was like 4 times the price. Like I bought this genie band thing for my wrist so I can go through the park. And
the thing is, everything is gonna say Disney 100 on it until like Disney 150 or something. Because they did that with Disney 50. Like everything said Disney 50 on it until Disney 100 happened.
And I'll tell you, like when it comes to like actually experiencing Disney, like man, Disney, it was a good time, but it was also a very expensive time. I mean, but in any case, I don't know. I feel like Disney keeps trying to, they keep trying to pander to the masses, and it's not. And let me rephrase that. It's not that they're trying to pander to the masses. They're just trying to pander to some loud voices. I mean, because clearly if they were trying to pander to the masses, they would,
I think a lot of it is, because Walt Disney himself was such an awful person. I think they're trying to kind of form Disney so it's not, like, awful. Because obviously, like, there's that whole thing where Donald Duck was a Nazi. And, like, he was, like, some of the old Disney stuff is kind of, like, hella racist. Like, so I think Disney's trying to, like, over-accommodate for that.
I don't know. I think they need to just focus on going back to the basics, being that kid's place where they just, I think that they're overly trying to be they got to get over this whole trying to be overly woke and I don't know. It's just too much. They're just trying to do too much.
I think all of Disney's movies are the same movie, just different fonts. Like, all of it. So, like, is Sleeping Beauty not just Snow White? A girl falls asleep, gets kissed and woken up. Boom. There we go. Like, I mean, Frozen and I feel like Frozen and Brave, pretty much the same. Like, family's love will overcome everything. Like, there's that. Boom. Done.
I mean, well, think about it. The princess business is it's a big business for them. I mean, they had an entire princess section of their park. I mean, literally where this building was, where they would have these little girls go in, and I mean,
yeah, they get their hair and makeup done by a princess,
and their dresses and their jewelry. I mean, it's the princess part of Disney is big business, right?
when I went to Disney, I was like 6, and I had breakfast with a princess, or dinner with a princess. I can't remember, but it's like all the princesses came to the tables and like hung out with you for a few minutes.
And you were souped.
It was pretty cool. But I mean, now I don't like the princesses. Now I like one of my favorite Disney movies is Tangled, and that's like the only princess I like, Rapunzel.
And you want to talk about like an organized chaos. Disneyland was organized chaos. I mean, I wasn't sure how I was going to do because I'm not big on the whole crowd thing, but like Disney, that was organized chaos.
Right now, one of our honeymoon ideas is just going to Universal, and like I'm both excited and not at the same time. Like it's going to be fun, but I know the amount of people are going to be awful.
Yeah, so now you'll see everybody revolt against there'll be a controversy on that as well. I mean, look, we live in a world now where and that's kind of the point of this episode is to talk about just the chaos that's been in. So look, most of all you'll see, and like I said, we're going to save this for its own episode. Maybe next week we'll go into the Israeli conflict because it's really sad that it's taken us this long to, as a country, step up in a way that we should. Only now are we really starting to really get crazy involved. But look at Israel. The Middle East is imploding. And why is this chaos very important for us to focus on? Well, America as a nation has been protected, and God has had its hand on this nation as wicked as we've started to become, because we've always supported and protected Israel. Israel was God's Israel and the Jewish people have always been God's chosen, and we find ourselves in a predicament now because if we walk away from that, we could find ourselves very, very much on a quicker path to decline. So chaos continues to ensue. And unfortunately, I wish I could tell you that we're going to be on a path, back from chaos, but we're not. According to Scripture, according to prophecy, now, the Bible teaches us a few things, and this is more now for those of you who are listening to the program who perhaps aren't in our faith or are new to the faith. Scripture teaches us a few things, and a few of those things are come in the form of prophetic in the sense of what happens towards the end, not the end meaning that the world's going to be done and over with, in the sense that you think in the end, for us, meaning when that time starts to come where we get close to when God is ready to receive his church. That time that we keep talking about where Christ comes to sound that trumpet, and the Bible says the dead in Christ shall rise, and the rest of us will meet them in the air, and essentially we go to spend eternity with our Savior. Basically what I'm talking about is that time where everything that we've been longing for, everything that we've cried out for, everything that we've yearned for in our faith, the whole reason for our existence and accepting Jesus Christ as our Savior comes to fruition, which is that eternity that gets spent with God. In order to get to that, these things start to happen, and that's what it means by the fulfillment of prophecy, where the greatest nation has to start to fall, where war starts to break out, and where things start to almost look like upside down. Like, what is happening here? This doesn't make any sense. That's where we start to see things go into place. And in terms of prophecy, and in terms of what was revealed in the past as to what will come to fruition for those things to start to take place, we've seen that all start to happen. And this is where we find ourselves. We find ourselves in a place where chaos continues to ensue, and chaos starts to continues to grow in our day-to-day lives, where something as simple as a power outage, where even our youth start to feel attacked, and even where our youth start to feel alienated. I mean, think about the things that we talked about last week. Last week, these kids came out and they were vulnerable. I mean, I was proud to see these kids. I mean, and I'm going to be honest with you, and I've shared this with Sierra, and I've shared this with William, and William and Sierra have shared the same thought. I had no idea how that was going to go. I honestly didn't know if they were going to be ready to be vulnerable with complete and total strangers. But these kids came on at various ages, and they were vulnerable with us in a way where they were sharing with us the things that they struggle with in a societal in the societal pressures that they face. And this is the world that we live in, a world where chaos continues to ensue. Chaos is ensuing not just in our adult lives, not just in our maturity, but even in our children's lives, where they're feeling, like outsiders, like uncomfortable in their own skin, uncomfortable in their own environment. And this is where I'm able to tell you that you don't have to walk this alone. And this is where even I was proud last week when the kids started to share their anchor verses or their inspirational verses, where this program's objective is to share with you a promise that is given to us through our faith. The promise that comes to you from our Father. Our Father, our Creator, who sent His Son to die on that cross. We live in a time where none of us are exempt from the chaos that surrounds just everything. The chaos that surrounds us and is everywhere. As you listen to the sound of my voice, I've shared with you a few scriptures today that talk to you about what's coming. And we've begun to experience this in these chaotic times. Matthew 24:36 tells us, but about that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. There's going to be a time that I keep talking about. Nobody knows when it is, but we're promised that time is coming. Our God is there for you. Ephesians 6:12 tells us that we fight not against flesh and blood, but against principalities. Another version says, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms." You see, the chaos that surrounds us is not always just something that you think about in a physical sense, but a lot of times it's something that's trying to take us down in a spiritual sense. We can't take on these struggles and these things on our own strength. Today I'm here to talk to you about a superpower, a supernatural power that is given to you through the Son of God. Luke 21:36 says, "Be always on watch and pray that you may be able to escape all that is about to happen, and that you may be able to stand before the Son of Man." That comes through that verse that we share with you week after week. Matthew 24:14, and this gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. The gospel of Jesus Christ, that God loved the world so much that he sent his one and only Son to die, that whoever accepts him will not perish but have eternal life. You have a choice to make. You have the gift of eternal life standing before you. In the book of Revelations, it says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock." He's waiting for you to open the door as he knocks. It's such a beautiful idea. It's such a beautiful concept. It's not something that he's withholding from you. He wants you to open that door. But he's not going to force you. I love what it says in Revelation 3:20. Revelation 3:20 says, "Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If you hear my voice and open the door, I will come in, and we will share a meal together as friends." I love that my God wants to consider me his friend. Are you a friend of God? Because if God is your friend, it doesn't matter what this world throws at you. It doesn't matter what chaos surrounds you. He will get you through. While I've been speaking with you, Sierra finally found that post. You're killing me. I gave you just enough time to pull it up and get it ready. So Carol shared this, and I this is the one I saw this morning. But imagine this: chaos surrounds us in everywhere we are. Whether you're at school, whether you're at home, whether you're at the supermarket, or even if you're at the McDonald's trying to do your DoorDash. What does she say?
Still looking.
You lost it again?
I feel like it was in East Providence, by East Providence, but people posting it literally all day long, so I need to scroll.
Man, you literally just showed it to me. I was trying to give you a second.
I mean, she basically just said that someone had posted a picture of, I guess one of the kids' teachers sends out text messages to the parents, and one of the text messages was like, "I'm exhausted, but I'll be in my classroom tomorrow at 6:45 a.m. And the person was talking about how, like, deep that hit, realizing that, like, these teachers go through such traumatic events, but they can't stop being teachers. Like, they just have to wake up and go back to school the next day. So my grandmother, like, posted under it the story about how she was at McDonald's after school picking up an order, and there was, like, these kids there that was kept setting, like, small fires in the parking lot. She said in McDonald's. I'm assuming she meant in the parking lot of McDonald's. I doubt they were setting fires inside McDonald's, but small fires, so like the EPPD and EPFD were there. Like, and then my grandma were just going on about how these kids need, like, guidance and to know that adults love them, and then they'll stop, like, doing things like this.
Oh, but your grandmother makes a great point. And honestly, the reason I wanted you to share that as we're closing out the program is this. Look, just like these kids were setting off fires inside around your grandmother at the McDonald's, these are the fires that we're talking about today. These are this is the chaos that ensues around us every day. You know, maybe you have a bunch of these fires going on around you. Maybe life is throwing you a bunch of this stuff, and we're here for you. You know, we're here for you, and perhaps you're hearing something that we're talking about today, and you don't quite understand. And I know that from week to week, just the small time that we have to explain to you a little piece of scripture it's tough. It's tough to really be able to understand what we're talking about or to dive into biblical context, or maybe you're curious about what I'm talking about when I talk to you about prophecy being fulfilled or a relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ, reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you. We'd love to pray with you. We'd love to explain to you about who Jesus is and how much he loves you. We're here. You can reach us through our website, www.temporaryinsanitypodcast.com. You want to find out more about our church, go to www.savinggrace.church. See, even Mr. Baby's crying for you. He's saying, call us. We want to pray for you, right, Mr. Baby? You don't have to deal with these fires by yourself. See, he agrees with me. You heard that? That was a clear yes, wasn't it, Sierra?
He doesn't want me to wipe his nose.
Oh, poor Mr. Baby. Poor Mr. Baby's been sick. But
Mr. Baby's sick every day.
yeah, he's so cute, though. But if you want to get to know who we are, reach out. We'd love to hear from you. You got something to say, Mr. Baby? Mama. Can you say TT? Mama. How about TT? Mama. No, he's going to do that to me every time. He's doing it on purpose. I'm telling you. He's setting me up. Are you going to tell him where to go to the live stream when we get there? Well, wait, we're almost there. You can help your mama. Well, you're not going to tap that. So you're going to make me work today. So check us out on our website, www.temporaryinsanitypodcast.com, or go to our church website, savinggrace.church, www.savinggrace.church. We'd love to connect with you. You can call us to find out more information about who we are, or we, like I said, we'd love to pray with you and tell you about who Jesus Christ is as your Lord and Savior. Perhaps you want to come visit us on a Sunday morning. If you're in the Rhode Island area, you can find us at 1 Volturno Street in North Providence, Rhode Island. We're there every Sunday morning at 10:30 for our worship service. Or you can come to our Bible workshop with Pastor Floriano for an in-depth Bible study at 9:30 a.m. At the same location. If you can't be with us live, you can check us out via our live stream on our socials. Where can they find us, Sierra? You could go to Saving RI on our Facebook and our YouTube channels. And again, you can find that on our church website as well. So that's going to do it for us today. We will be back here next week at noon with our next broadcast. For those of you watching behind the scenes, you got to meet Mr. Baby. If you don't see our behind the scenes, you can see it drop every Friday evening. We'll see the behind the scenes action. We had our awesome new young co-host. Yeah, listen, Sierra, I think he did pretty good today. Honestly, he's just shy of 2 years old. I think for a youngin, he did pretty good. I love it. So you got to put that out on our pages. So that's it for us today. So we'll see you guys next week. We love you, and God bless.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. New episodes drop every Friday at noon. Have a question about our faith or the insane times we live in? Go to our website, www.temporaryinsanitypodcast.com, and record a voice message. It may end up on our show. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and our YouTube channel at Temporary Insanity Podcast.